Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so you friends see it. Thank you.
In sudden move, Tillerson out, Pompeo to be new Secretary of State. President Donald Trump said Tuesday he is removing Rex Tillerson after a rocky tenure and nominating CIA Director Mike Pompeo in his place, a shakeup that appeared to take the Secretary of State by surprise. "I've worked with Mike Pompeo now for quite some time," Trump told reporters outside the White House. "Tremendous energy. Tremendous intellect. We're always on the same wavelength. The relationship has been very good, and that's what I need as Secretary of State." Trump said he and Tillerson did not see eye to eye on major foreign policy issues, naming as an example the Iran nuclear deal. The president said he thought it was a bad agreement, but he said Tillerson supported it. "I wish Rex Tillerson well," the president said. "I'm really at a point where we're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want. I think Rex will be much happier now," he said. Trump and Tillerson have been frequently at odds since the former ExxonMobil CEO took over at Foggy Bottom. But a spokesman for Tillerson said Tuesday he had not been planning to leave and wasn't sure why he was being ousted now. The secretary had every intention of remaining because of the tangible progress made on critical national security issues, said Steve Goldstein, Undersecretary of State for Public Affairs. The secretary did not speak to the president this morning and is unaware of the reason, but he is grateful for the opportunity to serve, and still believes strongly that public service is a noble calling and not to be regretted. Later on Tuesday, the State Department said Goldstein, too, would leave. Tillerson, in farewell remarks from the State Department briefing room, said he would hand off his responsibilities to Deputy Secretary of State John Sullivan but remain officially in his post through the remainder of the month. "What is most important is to ensure an orderly and smooth transition during a time that the country continues to face significant policy and national security challenges," a visibly emotional Tillerson, who did not take questions, told reporters. Tillerson said he would encourage other State Department officials to remain in their jobs. He touted the administration's campaign to increase pressure on North Korea and warned that Russia's current trajectory is likely to lead to greater isolation on their part, a situation which is not in anyone's interests. Tillerson's exit removes a source of frustration to Trump and elevates an official, Pompeo, who more closely shares his worldview. A senior White House official said Trump wanted Tillerson out so he could have his new team in place before upcoming talks with North Korea. The president agreed last week to sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Tillerson had said just hours before Trump's announcement that such negotiations were a long way off. "I don't think they see eye to eye on anything," said one senior administration official. The strength of the secretary's relationship with Trump has been a regular source of speculation. Tillerson reportedly referred to the president as a moron last year, and while the secretary held an impromptu press conference in the wake of that report, he did not outright deny having used the term. Tillerson also went further than the president in condemning the Russian government for its alleged role in the attempted assassination of a former Russian spy in the United Kingdom earlier this month. Tillerson said Monday that the attempted murder clearly came from Russia and certainly will trigger a response. White House spokeswoman Sarah Huckabee Sanders declined to explicitly blame Russia at her briefing that day, though Trump on Tuesday said, "It sounds to me like they believe it was Russia, and I would certainly take that finding as fact." Trump has fired aides without warning before. Then Chief of Staff Reince Priebus found out last summer that he had been replaced when Trump announced that John Kelly would be his new chief. Former FBI Director James Comey was alerted to his own firing last year by media reports, since he was not in Washington when a White House aide delivered Comey's termination letter to the Bureau's Pennsylvania Avenue headquarters. Pompeo's favored status in the West Wing for months led administration officials to view him as Tillerson's likely replacement. Trump was at one point expected to tap Senator Tom Cotton, Republican Arkansas, to run the CIA, but the White House hesitated to put another Senate seat on the table ahead of the 2018 midterms, according to a person close to Cotton. The potential offer also became less attractive to the senator, who would have been giving up a safe Senate seat to run the CIA for just 2.5 years if Trump loses re-election. I respect his intellect. I respect the process that we've all gone through together. We have a very good relationship, for whatever reason, Trump said of Pompeo. I actually got along well with Rex, but really, it was a different mindset. It was a different thinking. I am deeply grateful to President Trump for permitting me to serve as Director of the Central Intelligence Agency and for this opportunity to serve as Secretary of State, Pompeo said in a statement. His leadership has made America safer, and I look forward to representing him and the American people to the rest of the world to further America's prosperity. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee said Tuesday it expects to hold a hearing on Pompeo's nomination in April. Senator Bob Menendez, D&J, the ranking member on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, warned that instability at the State Department would create challenges for U.S. foreign policy, especially amid preparations for Trump's announced meeting with North Korea's leader. The problem is not the question of having talks, Menendez said. The problem is the preparation that has to go into it in order to try to have a successful result in such talks. Senate Armed Services Committee member Claire McCaskill, Demo, cautioned that being impulsive might work in a real estate deal. I'm not sure it works in foreign policy. She conceded through that she had not thought about Pompeo seriously in the context of being Secretary of State, and that's the work I need to do now. Tillerson's ouster and the president's selection of Pompeo to replace him earned mixed reviews from Obama administration veterans who, as a group, have been widely critical of Tillerson's leadership at the State Department. Tommy Vietor, a former National Security Council spokesman under Obama who now co-hosts a popular anti-Trump podcast, wrote on Twitter that Tillerson was probably the worst Secretary of State in modern history. He gutted and demoralized the department and delivered nothing for this country. He cautioned that he fears what comes next, but I'm glad he's finally gone. Inside Tillerson's State Department, rank-and-file opinion of the secretary was reportedly not much better. Current and former department officials said last November, amid a swirl of rumors that Tillerson might have been on his way out, that a shift to Pompeo would be welcomed in the hopes that his closer relationship to Trump might enliven the department's role in the government. Brett Bruen, a former State Department official, said Tuesday that there is strong sense of relief at State. The last year has been traumatic, to put it mildly. Before being nominated by Trump to run the CIA, Pompeo was a three-term Republican congressman from Kansas. He has degrees from Harvard's Law School and the U.S. Military Academy, from which he graduated first in his class. Pompeo has previously expressed skepticism towards climate change science, remarking in 2013 that there are scientists that think lots of different things about climate change. There's some who think we're warming, there's some who think we're cooling. That stance has raised red flags among some climate advocates. Gina Haspel, who Trump said would replace Pompeo and who was named the CIA's deputy director last year, is an agency veteran who in 2002 ran one of its detention sites in Thailand, where she oversaw the torture of 2 terrorism suspects, according to a New York Times report. Tapes of those interrogations, which included waterboarding and smashing one suspect's head into a wall, were ordered destroyed in 2005, the Times reported. After 30 years as an officer of the Central Intelligence Agency, it has been my honor to serve as its deputy director alongside Mike Pompeo for the past year, Haspel said in a statement. I am grateful to President Trump for the opportunity, and humbled by his confidence in me, to be nominated to be the next director of the Central Intelligence Agency. While the CIA's tactics in the initial years of the war on terrorism have been widely controversial, Trump himself has expressed support for such techniques. On the 2016 campaign trail, Trump said he supported the use of waterboarding, a technique by which a subject is made to feel like they are drowning, and said he would resurrect its use. After his inauguration, the president said he would defer on the question of waterboarding to Pompeo and Defense Secretary James Mattis. Eliana Johnson, Matthew Nussbaum, Emily Holden, Connor O'Brien and Daniel Libman contributed to this report. farmers want some of Trump's TV time. Farmers fretting over White House trade policies will aim to appeal directly to President Donald Trump during his favorite shows on Fox and MSNBC. The effort by farmers, a key part of the president's base, will be the first to appeal directly to the president in his living room. The advertisement, which starts Wednesday and runs through the month, will air during Fox and Friends, Lou Dobbs and Morning Joe, some of Trump's favorite shows for distilling the day's news, said one source familiar with the planning of the campaign. U.S. farmers hope to make the case that foreign retaliation to Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum and other pending trade restrictions will have a potentially devastating impact on their exports, if China and other trading powers decide to ratchet up tariffs on soybeans, wheat and other farm goods. The crops that we grow here on this farm are exported across the globe, Michelle Erickson Jones, a farmer and rancher from Broadview, Montana, says as part of the 30-second ad. Policies that restrict trade would be devastating for farms like ours. Someday I'd like to pass the farm down to my boys. Mr. President, protect free trade and keep our agriculture economy strong. Our biggest concern is retaliatory action, at least in the short term, Erickson Jones, who is president of the Montana Grain Growers Association, said in an interview. The European Union has already released a list of American goods it plans to raise tariffs on, many of which are agriculture and food items. The $500,000 road buy was sponsored by Farmers for Free Trade, an advocacy group formed last year by several agriculture industry groups in response to the president's potential withdrawal from NAFTA and other trade policies that could be detrimental to agricultural exports. The group is co-chaired by former Democratic Montana Senator Max Baucus and former Indiana Senator Richard Lugar, a Republican. When the U.S. engages in a tit-for-tat fight with our trading partners, farmers pay the price, Baucus said in a statement. While we need tough trade enforcement, we need to be smart about avoiding global trade fights that hurt American agriculture. The ad will run in both the Washington, D.C., and the West Palm Beach media markets. That way, Trump won't miss seeing them when he takes his regular sojourn to his Florida golf club, the source briefed on the campaign said. After last week's tariff announcement, business groups opposed to the policy have made pointed statements warning of increasing prospects of a trade war and formed coalitions to fight against the trade barriers. But the agriculture-focused ad is meant to show that farmers are on the leading edge of the pushback, the source said. This kicks off a larger campaign to get more farmers to speak up in the same way.